Welcome back to Ask a Startup Season 3. Thank you so much, listeners, for listening and supporting me along the way. My name is Adil, and I'm your host. It has been a while since COVID, right? Well, COVID happened, and a lot happened, so we had to take some time off as well. However, we're back with an amazing lineup this season. In this episode, we have someone with us who has made the most out of the 2020 lockdown. She was super productive, where she explored one of her interests and turned it into a full-time business. That's right, it's never too late to learn new skills, whether you want to learn coding or how to cook. I mean, you don't really have to turn it into a successful business, but you can. According to Sky News, despite of the challenges introduced by the coronavirus crisis, 2020 also saw the launch of a record number of startups. Over 400,000 new businesses were formed during this period. And today, we would be speaking to one of those entrepreneurs. Our first guest this season is Veronika Joy. She's the founder of Veronika Joy Fine Art Photography and Film. Veronika created her startup post-COVID, and she had some great achievements since then. Only to mention a few, the last 2 years, she has been the national winner of the Wedding Business Awards, a guest speaker for BBC Live on Stage, and a judge for the Wedding Industry Awards. Without further ado, let's find out more about the journey so far from Veronika herself. Thank you so much for joining us today, Veronika. So we would like to start off with, when did you actually think about creating your own photography business?
Thank you so much for having me today. I started actually back in 2018 when I took online course for photography, and I thought that it would be just a great new hobby, that I would take better holiday pictures and so on, but soon after that it became obsession, and I realized that I would love to work for myself and just to be my own boss, that I don't have to ask my manager when I can take my days off and holidays, and just to be in charge, as well as creating this value for people, because I think it's such incredible value, like when you look back after those years and you can kind of relive the moments again.
Personally, I think it's extremely valuable to me because I never got to meet my granddads. It makes me appreciate photographs so much. I mean, each and every photograph has their own stories to share, and the precious moments that has been captured, they will remain with us forever.
I truly believe that photography is an investment because the value will only grow with time, and every year the photo will become just more valuable than it was before.
There's one thing that I've seen that, with time, for example, back then, the people used to take photos and we used to have hard copies of photos. But now, do you think that the value of photos has gone down because you keep clicking photos each and every second? And do people actually print them out anymore? Or is it just special occasions like weddings or birthdays where they would have physical albums?
Yeah, I would say with digital technology and online presence that it changed a lot, but still I encourage my clients to have those photos printed, to put them on the wall, to have those albums, because they will feel so much different about having those photos actually as tangible product rather than just having it on their Facebook or Instagram page.
So tell me one thing, when did you exactly start your business? Was it back in 2020 or?
So the idea came to my mind in 2018. And that was the time when I started building my portfolio. But my business truly took off after the COVID restrictions were lifted in 2020. And that's when I switched actually to being a full-time photographer.
So you became a full-time photographer post-COVID, right in the year 2020?
Yes. So in 2020, I started getting all those bookings. And in 2021, when the restrictions were lifted, I just went straight in.
COVID is when I, for example, wanted to start this podcast show, which I did, but then obviously due to challenges in my life, I had to kind of take a step back, which is why, since it's a first episode we're doing post-COVID, I would like to know, how was COVID for you exactly?
So before the lockdown, I was having a part-time job, I was full-time student, and I wanted to do photography business as well. So I didn't really have the time. But when there was the first lockdown and I was lucky enough to get on furlough, for me it was like my dreams came true. Like now I had all the available time to invest into my business. I spent the lockdowns in Latvia, and luckily in Latvia the restrictions weren't as strict, so I could still go outside to work on my portfolio. And I invested all this time into this portfolio and education, photography, and filmmaking, most importantly, because that's something I didn't have time for. But this is what actually allowed me to take my business to another level and to bring the first clients.
Do you find any difficulties in getting clients? Because, for example, let's say, when you're new in the market, people wants to see a portfolio.
Definitely, the beginning stages are the most challenging ones because, like, okay, you learned how to take great photos, that's great, and what to do now? Like, how you actually get the first clients and how just you get out there so people can trust you and to book you for that wedding. That's definitely the biggest challenge, I would say, of becoming the photographer.
So the portfolio that you said you were trying to build during the lockdown in Latvia, was it like events, or what kind of portfolio were you creating?
So because I didn't have any wedding clients, so I wanted to build the portfolio that's relevant to weddings. So I organized my own wedding style photo shoots. So I just got on Instagram, contacted wedding vendors. So I've contacted bridal boutique, hairstylist, makeup artist, and so on, and found a couple who were willing to model for us. So it wasn't a real wedding, it was just a style photo shoot.
Okay.
And it was on collaboration basis. So no one got paid, it was for free, and it was for us 100%. It was the way how I actually got into this business, how I became more visible, how I got the portfolio. Because without having the portfolio, you cannot sell something that you don't show, right? Like, you need to build a portfolio first to show what you are capable of doing, and then after showing that, someone can book you. And this is how I built my basic portfolio.
That was very impressive, how you overcame the obstacle that you faced with not having a portfolio. I think as a budding entrepreneur, these are the kinds of challenges a founder faces early days. And the ones who can think outside the box and puts the effort are the ones who excel. Also, that is the perfect example of a collaboration that helps a startup in the early days. I think you pulled it off really well. Well done to you. So that makes me think about your first paid customer. How did you get your first paid customer, and how difficult was it for you?
The first paid customer was through Instagram. It was funny that it actually wasn't the actual bride or groom who booked me. It was sister of the bride, and I think that their original photographer let them down, so they were looking for a photographer last moment. It was only days before the wedding, and they actually hired me for a couple of hours. And so on the wedding day, I actually stayed for 4 hours, and I made it look like it was the whole day wedding, like just making the most out of the opportunity to have this wedding in my portfolio. So only from booking me for these 2 hours, I had chance to really show the whole wedding. Like, I spent there the whole day.
Wow. I mean, you did put your, energy and everything into showing that what you can do. As I imagine that the client really liked it.
Yeah, they were very happy. They were happy to share their testimonials. So that helped me to book my next clients after that.
Oh, yes, I can imagine. The first testimonial does change everything for you. So tell me a bit more about your support network, because early days, it is so important to have a support network where you have someone to help you throughout. I mean, even as mentally, that is big, right?
My biggest supporter from the day one is my partner, because he has been through it all, ups and downs. He has seen it all, my mental breakdowns and everything. And yeah, I don't think that I would be where I am now without him, because without having this mental support and just the person who I can share everything with.
Wow, that's
But
brilliant.
beside him, I have to say that my family and his family as well, they have been very supportive of me, always sharing my posts on social media, always liking, and yeah, it means a lot.
Yeah, I think, that one thing of just putting the effort of sharing it makes you very happy, right? Like me when I
Well,
was
not really in the beginning because you feel like you are not seen, that the only person who keeps liking those posts is your mom and your partner, and that's it. And that's how it has been that's how it was for a long time in the beginning until eventually things start picking up and people follow you and recognize your work, which is, I would say, it's probably the best feeling, that when people tell you that they don't even need to see the name at my image, like just from the style, like from looking at the photo, they know that I've taken that photo. So I guess that's one of the best feelings.
Yeah, definitely. So, did you have any mentors early days to help you through your startup? Any questions or any advice you needed? Did you go to anyone else at all?
So I didn't really have mentors. I mostly invested into online courses, and I have to say all of them paid off, really, that I invested into education, and I keep investing into education even nowadays still, and just keep improving that way, because I think knowledge is everything, and especially that you don't know what you don't know until you know it. You know what I mean? So
True. Let's say I'm someone who doesn't know much about photography. Now, you mentioned that you've learned these things online. Where did you exactly get to learn about photography skills?
So photography, I would say mostly, to be honest, mostly from YouTube.
YouTube, oh.
YouTube is amazing source for all this information, and I followed many other successful photographers and learned from them, and just taking this inspiration and making my own way. So I became this critic, that I was like looking for photos that really inspire me, and then I was thinking, how would I make this image my own? And just really having this level of critical thinking, that's how I develop my own style and really learn the most. And then like when you actually take those photos in practice and thing, and like again you criticize them again and think like how you could improve them, how they could be better.
So it sounds like you were inspired by them to take those shots in your own way. That's
yes,
amazing.
Absolutely.
I think, which is why I have started following some video production. I don't know what is it exactly called on Instagram, and they have this cool behind the scenes shots as well. How they do it and everything. It takes a lot of effort to do that. It's not that easy how it looks like when you actually see the photos.
So they make it look easy, but reality is it's not.
Exactly. So you have studied BA Hospitality and Tourism Management, right? In UCB.
Yes, that's right.
So do you think any of those education and knowledge or skills you've gained from doing that course helped you towards photography in any way?
Not with the technical part, but definitely with people skills, because I would say that being a successful photographer, it's only a small proportion of that is actually about how you take photos, because that's kind of expected that you know how to take great photos. But a huge proportion of that is the people skills, like knowing how to approach the people, how to make them feel comfortable in front of camera, and just to be a great person to work with, because no one wants to work with arrogant, horrible photographer like who doesn't make you feel comfortable. Obviously, you're not gonna like the photos after that.
Yeah, I mean that takes me back to when I met you for the first time. That was before COVID time, and I was like, okay, she's feeling a bit shy, I think, and let me try and speak to her and then see. And then, I met you, and then, look at us now. A few years later, we're recording an episode together. It's amazing. Right. So would you say
4
that...
4 years later, wasn't it? Back in 2019, I believe.
Yes, back in 2019.
Time flies.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It's been a few years, but Did you used to feel like an introvert back then, or do you think your social skills are the same post-COVID, or anything has changed?
So I'm I am 100% introvert. That's not something that I can change. That's just the way I'm born. But I would say I consider myself as socially introvert. It means that I still love working with people. I love being at weddings and just the atmosphere and joy of the day. But I just need my space. That's why photography is like perfect job for me, because 90% of the work is behind the computer, right? So I get to work behind the computer most of the time, and I get to work with people at the same time as well. But I still have this space, so it's not me being at busy events every single day, because I don't think I could do that.
How many events can one photographer actually do in a year?
So it really depends on your business model. Some photographers, they outsource their editing, so they can do even up to 60 weddings per year.
60?
60, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Which is insane number to me. I don't think I would survive such season. I'm all about doing everything myself and doing personally, so I edit everything, and because I do videography as well, and I edit those videos as well, so that means that I able to take lower number of weddings. So my ideal number is 20 weddings per year.
So have you ever considered outsourcing?
No, I don't, because I really love the whole process of editing and just really delivering everything to my clients on my own, to know that I pay attention to every single detail, that I go through every single photo that I took on the wedding day on my own. So that's not something that I would like. I don't think I could actually trust someone else to do it for me, that because I trust mostly myself that I can do the best job, right? So I think that's something I will maybe have to let go eventually in the future, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to expand, and in that way you'll have to, if you have your own team members, then obviously that's different. If not, outsourcing is probably the only other option, right?
We'll see how it goes. I don't think that I will go down that route. Like, my goal is to move more into the higher end weddings. For me, there is I wouldn't need to increase the number of weddings that I would photograph per year.
Okay. So, let's say, since you mentioned about how you want to target high-end weddings in the future, if I were to ask you, what makes you stand out from the other photographers? What's your USP? How are you different from the others?
So right now it is that I'm a hybrid shooter. That means that I photograph the wedding and I do a highlight wedding film as well. And that all I do as one person without any help. Because of this, I focus on more intimate weddings when the clients appreciate, not having photographer and videographer pointing at them with their cameras the whole day, but they wanted to have it really intimate, like maybe 20, 30 people. And
okay. Right. So, because if you, for example, have to cover a bigger wedding, like a high-end wedding, they have to be intimate as well, right? Or if they're massive, let's say they cater 200 people, and in that wedding, how would that work out for you?
In general, I don't accept events like that, so I am selective about the clients I book. And I believe that this interview, when we have this consultation with potential clients, it goes really both ways, that they make sure that I'm the best fit for them, and I make sure that they are the best fit for myself as clients as well. So I wouldn't book a massive event, because that's not something I would enjoy, and I'm sure that there would be other better options for them.
So what's the size of wedding usually you would go for then?
So most of my weddings are usually up to 100, I would say 120 people maximum. Usually I don't go above that about that number of people. But most of them, the majority of them, are around 50, 60 people maximum. So my clients, my ideal clients, they prefer these more intimate weddings.
Okay. Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, and I think weddings should be intimate, to be honest, because in our culture we have massive weddings, which are like, I mean, I don't know if you have seen any South Asian
I
wedding.
have,
You
yes,
have,
yes. I
right?
attended as guest, and I was like, "Oh wow, this is insane!"
They have 1,000 people
Yeah,
in a
you
wedding.
need to have entire team of photographers and videographers to cover even like that. And this is how I differentiate myself, that I work mostly on my own. I can do videography as well, and that you can keep it really intimate.
So that means you need to have an amazing gadget with you to cover both in one.
Yeah, luckily nowadays, thanks to technology, the sky is the limit. Like, you can do it all. Many photographers tell me it's impossible to do both photography and videography, and I'm like, I love, people proving that they are wrong.
Yeah.
They tell me that I can't do that, and I always love to prove that I can.
And you've done that. And that's amazing. There's always more than one photographer in an event, and doing that, even a small event. And you're saying that you've covered big events, like 60 or 100 people is a lot as well, I think personally. And you've done that by yourself, photography and videography, which is brilliant. As I can see that you've been the national winner of the Wedding Business Awards, right?
Yes, that's right.
How does it feel to be, recognized for your work?
I guess that's when the imposter syndrome starts kicking in.
Oh, boy.
Like, yeah, it's great, but then I'm looking at the award, I'm like, is it really me? Yeah, I'm having all sort of mixed feelings.
Yeah, I mean, I can imagine. I mean, I think it's something I used to go through as well at times. Imposter syndrome. I think it's a normal thing that every founder, entrepreneurs, they go through that.
Yeah, I
early
think most
stages.
of us, definitely,
Yeah, it's like,
especially creative people.
yeah, I mean, it's like, seriously, me? Like, yes, you have done it. Yeah, that's amazing. So how many awards have you won so far?
Ooh. So last year I wasn't actually counting. The wedding industry awards, I was the regional winner, then I won the Hitched Award, then the Wedding Business Awards last year, and then this year I won the Hitched Awards again, the Bright Book Gold Award. I actually got the certificate in my mail just today. I'm gonna
Wow.
share it soon. And yeah, I believe that's it.
That's quite a lot, because you said you've started in 2020 properly, at the end of 2020, I suppose, and then 2021, 2022, and we're just in the beginning of 2023. So in the last 2 years, you've done amazing work to be recognized by so many different people. That's brilliant. Well done on that. Every founder, or let's say anyone who's starting up, always has one question in their mind. How would I find money to invest in this, gadgets and everything, because they're expensive, right? So how did you fund your business? Did you have any external funding or anyone helping you with that?
So I had a part-time job before or like in the beginning when I decided I wanted to be a photographer, and basically all my money, I only paid rent, food, and everything else like that left went into my business, into photography. And I was lucky enough to have fundings from BCN. I got £500 grant, which I invested into my computer. So those are all of those things that you wouldn't even think of when having photography business. That it's not just that one fancy camera. Like, you will need a backup of that camera, right? You will need computer. You will need a proper screen. You will have to pay for software. Calibrating of the monitors, like all of that, it's a lot of money.
So what was that something came from you then, ultimately? Because £500 obviously helped you with the laptop, and there's so many other gadgets.
Yeah,
You had to invest yourself.
Yeah, everything myself from my part-time job.
Wow, so that's amazing. We can learn from this that if you manage your finance well, and if you think of what you're making and in reinvesting in something, it does give you something back, and this is a good way. You've invested in yourself, in your skills, learning new skills, and getting these equipments. Now that's generating money. I think that's amazing.
100%. Once it's actually start generating money, then you can actually invest into better equipment and better gear as well.
Wow. So I bet they are insured as well, right? Because there are too many expensive stuff.
Definitely, 100%.
Yeah, I think that's something everyone needs to do. Even I need to do it for myself. Thank you so much, listeners, for staying this far and enjoying our episode. If you do like our episodes, please don't forget to leave us a review. It takes us a long way. That's the motivation we need at this point. Don't forget to check out the other episodes we have covered in the last 2 seasons. There are amazing entrepreneurs as well who shared their stories. Do check them out. I would like to dive into the marketing aspect of your business. Now, obviously, as an entrepreneur who's managing everything in your company, I understand that you are relying on a lot of marketing tools. So, which are the tools that you use? And do you go for paid promotions, or is it just free organic ones that you rely on, or just word of mouth is fine for you?
So I get my leads from multiple sources. So among those, there are Facebook, Google, Instagram, and business listings, which I pay for. I have to say that Instagram works really well for me, especially because of the recent trend that nowadays when couple get engaged, the bride usually sets up Instagram account where she shares all the wedding inspiration and connects with other brides and vendors. And this is how a lot of my clients found me as well, through Instagram and through having this profile.
Oh, that's great. So Instagram, once again, is the most beneficial one. Yeah, I think I find it quite helpful for my business as well.
I have to say Instagram is important for me, not only because of getting leads, but most importantly because of having the social proof that those potential clients have chance to actually see the behind the scenes. They can see the network, all the vendors and past clients I have worked with, and to see that I'm actually a real person and that I'm not just a fraud or someone faking to have business or anything like that, which is, I think, really important.
So did you actually get any inquiries or anything outside of Instagram, or is it purely
Yes, I get many leads from Google, business listings, which I pay for on wedding planning websites, and Facebook.
Okay. Oh, that's good. So far it's been going well for you then?
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant. So can you tell me a bit more about how you manage your time? Since you said you're doing, 20 weddings a year now? And you have to also do your editing yourself. So let's say you have booked one event for one client. So that wedding would consist of how many days events that you'll have to cover? How does it work usually?
So I provide pre-wedding consultations, pre-wedding engagement session, and as well as the actual coverage of the day, photographic coverage, plus doing a wedding highlight film as well for most of my clients. And then after that, they had a wedding album as well. So it's like many days actually working on one single booking. That's why my number is so limited.
As far as I understand, that the photo albums that you do, usually they have to be ordered and comes with the printed out photograph on the album, right? Or how does your album work?
So actually, this is something I'm currently stepping away from, because back in 2020, when I started booking all those weddings, I was so excited, to have my clients, and I just wanted to do it all for them. But I didn't realize how much time consuming actually all of these things are. And then later on, I realized that I don't actually have enough of days in a week to do it all. So that's why I am not gonna offer the album design anymore, but still my clients, they will have the opportunity to order any photo products from their online gallery, and they can just design the albums themselves.
So does that mean you're losing out on some customers because of not?
No, I think I will offer this service extra separately, not part of
Okay.
of the wedding package.
Oh, right. Okay. Now that makes more
So
sense
I
to me.
can actually see how much time I have available, and I can book these extra services accordingly.
Okay. So basically, you offer a package and you don't put that in the package. If they want that, that would be an extra.
Yeah,
They'll.
right.
Okay. Got it. Right.
Because this is what's happening right now, because last season was insane after all the COVID postponements, because most of COVID weddings that couldn't go ahead were postponed to 2022. So that's why it was actually 2022 was the busiest wedding season ever in the history and industry. So I think all of us could feel it, and that's why like so many of us burned out. And right now I'm actually catching up on designing all of those wedding albums, and like ideally this would be done before Christmas, but because everything got pushed back by the backlog and the extra weddings that we had to do last year, so everything got pushed to this time.
Wow. So, speaking of feeling burnt out last year, how important do you think mental health is to you while running your business? How do you feel about it? I mean, and how has it been for you? Is there something you'd like to share with us?
Yes, absolutely. So yes, mental health is very important, and I learned it the hard way, because the first 2 years I really neglected my mental health, to be honest. And I was so excited about doing my business that I put 200% into it, and I became workaholic. But obviously, like, you cannot keep going like that forever. And then it started catching up with me, especially after the very busy last season. And yeah, then then I realized that I need to take time off, I need to take breaks, I need to find a balance, work-life balance, that I cannot just keep going like 24/7 all the time, every day.
Yeah, I mean, I can imagine I think it's not easy. And yeah, you definitely need to put your mental health first, right? Because health is wealth, as we know. If we don't exist, our businesses don't exist or function, right? So, yeah, I think that's amazing. Obviously acknowledged that, and you're putting some time into it, because I've seen over and over again with me or other entrepreneurs, people do go through mental health issues, but usually they tend to ignore that and they then suffer afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
This was not the case 2 years ago, where people would speak a lot about mental health, but now I think people are understanding that how important mental health is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, regardless of what you do in life, mental health needs to be addressed, and you need to look after yourself.
Definitely 100%, because I was so used to just, I would get up in the morning, start working, then probably I wouldn't take actual breaks. I would just procrastinate in between, and then I would work until I would go to sleep in the night again. That was like my everyday.
Yeah. I mean, I think, yeah, which is why being mindful is very important. As soon as you become mindful, you're aware, you are in the present, you're thinking of everything, how you're feeling, how your body is feeling, and you just have to respond to that. And now you're responding to it, right? Which is why now you know.
Because I didn't have choice, really.
Yeah. I mean, I think, yeah, early days, actually, it happens. You do go through that tough time, and then slowly you find out.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think you did not know how this whole business would work out, right? You've figured it out along the way, right?
Yeah, exactly. You just learn as you go.
Yeah. So, which is why I think, as far as I understand from you, that you have started from scratch, you've learned those skills, and then one by one, it led you to this far today, right? And then that's all just you experiencing and learning, not learning it from a textbook or any mentor kind of telling you this is what's going to happen, Veronika. Don't do this, right? Do you think it's beneficial to have a mentor or get to understand or hear these experience from someone, experienced, so that you can avoid that yourself?
Definitely. I think mentorship can really make the process for you faster, definitely more efficient, that you don't have to, that mentor really can help you how to overcome, many common mistakes, that you don't have to learn the hard way necessarily. This is actually something I'm currently look into, because I had so many other photographers reaching out to me for help, and some of them, they even ask it for mentorship. So this is something I'm actually gonna do soon, that I am gonna offer mentorship for photographers, and for photographers who would like to do hybrid shooting as I do.
Oh, amazing. That's brilliant. I've also seen recently that you were a judge in a, I think, award show as well, right?
Yes, I was a judge for the Wedding Industry Awards.
How was that? How did it feel?
Great. It was amazing to be part of the process, and just, seeing all those businesses going through their profiles. And I have to say that I learned a lot myself from having that experience as well, like seeing which businesses truly stand out from others and why. So it was a great experience, and I'm so grateful to be part of it.
Nice. I have last couple of questions for you. One thing that I want to know is, do you have any vision for the future for your business? Basically, where do you want to take your business?
Yes, absolutely. So as I mentioned, I would love to get into the luxury wedding sector, and to serve those high-end clients, to photograph those florals all over the top, and just in beautiful locations and beautiful venues around the world as well.
I love that. I think as soon as I heard that, traveling, oh wow, that's amazing. I think that makes work more fun.
Definitely.
Travel, experience different cultures and everything, and then the photography and videography same time. That's brilliant. So that brings me to the last thing. My show basically is based on startups, and it's so that other entrepreneurs and people who's thinking of, let's say, starting a photography business, it would be beneficial basically for them to get some tips from you. So any top tip that you'd like to share for the listeners, that'd be great.
My top tip is, don't compare yourself to anyone else. The only person you can compare yourself to is who you were yesterday, to make sure that you keep improving every single day, because it's really not fair if you compare yourself, especially now with social media. Like, you look at the top people in your industry, and you're like, oh man, like I would love to be like them, but it's impossible. Like, it's really not fair for you, and like the only person you should compare yourself is just who you were in the past, and to make sure that you keep going.
Thank you so much for that wonderful tip. That would be so beneficial for anyone who's listening. Thank you once again, Veronika.
Thank you so much, Adele. It was a pleasure.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you are looking for a photographer, don't forget to check out Veronika Joy Photography on Instagram. You can follow us to get notified for our new episodes. See you next time.